So now, let me introduce the format of this event. So both Sweden and Thailand have been fostering innovation in their own ways over the years. And it is our belief that we would all benefit if there were to be a greater sharing of ideas between our two countries. So forestry and agri-tech and smart cities and prop tech are two areas with a level of maturity, both on the demand as well as on the supply side for both our two countries. Thus, the first 2 hours of this event will be devoted to forestry and agri-tech. That session will be moderated and hosted by me. And the later 2 hours will be related to smart cities and property technology, and that session will be moderated by my colleague, Dr. Pojanar. So for each of these two areas, we have specially invited 3 Thai and 3 Swedish innovative, fast-growing companies to pitch their own company and their solutions. We have also invited 3 Thai and 3 Swedish commentators, as we call them, often large and mature companies or industry associations looking for further increased collaboration, investment targets, or technology providers. The selection of these companies have been made by us at Business Sweden in close collaboration with PropTech Sweden and Ignite Sweden, as well as National Innovation Agency in Thailand with its supporters. So before we start listening to the pitches of the 3 Thai and 3 Swedish companies in the forestry and agri-tech segment, let me introduce the panel of distinguished commentators representing large and mature companies and industry associations. So first off, from the Thai side, we have Mr. Apiru Vanchaam, who is the Chief Digital Officer of SEG Cement Building Materials. Mr. Vanchaam is an interdisciplinary professional with degrees in both architectural design as well as computer science. He is especially passionate about technology innovation and human-centric design. He worked for 12 years in the US as an IT consultant before returning to Thailand to join Thomson Reuters and later on IBM. He has previously worked at KBTG as a principal visionary architect, where he has deepened his thinking in corporate innovation. Mr. Vanchaam currently serves as Chief Digital Officer at SEG, using design and technology as transformation enablers. Would you please want to wave to the camera and say a few words, Mr. Vanchaam?
Everyone, honored to be here and very pleasure. Look forward to hearing good pitches from all the startups. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Vanchaam. So second up, also on the Thai side, we have Mr. Sukit Juntong, who is Deputy Managing Director at the Forestry Industry Organization, or the FIO. The FIO is a state enterprise of the government of Thailand under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. Mr. Juntong has been in the forestry industry business for over 30 years. He's clearly experienced in forest plantation economy and is especially interested in sustainable forest plantation management guidelines and standards, both under the FSC and the FIO standards. Would you please want to introduce yourself briefly, Mr. Juntong?
Good morning for Sweden and good afternoon for Thailand. I appreciate to being a commentator for this invaluable forum. Thank you.
We're very happy to have you here, Mr. Juntong. So next up is Mr. Peter Fogde, who is the CEO of Stora Enso Lao. Mr. Fogde is a Swedish forester with 40 years of experience in Lao and the Southeast Asia forestry sector. He has since 2005 managed Stora Enso's greenfield operations on state land concessions in Laos. The operations include clearing of unexploded ordnances, large-scale farmer-based agroforestry, silviculture and tree breeding, harvesting and sales. All the operations are FSC certified. Mr. Fogde also presently holds the position as Honorary Consul of Sweden and Laos. Welcome, Mr. Fogde.
Thank you very much. It's, as said by someone else, it's a great honor to be here and participate in this event. I think business promotion between Thailand, Laos, and Laos, I said that, and Sweden is very important. So I look forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Fogde. Next up, also on the Swedish side, we have Mr. Martin Forsén, who's the chairman of Burapha Agroforestry, having over 20 years experience in the forest sector globally. Prior to his work at Burapha in Laos, Martin was the CEO of Domsjö Fiber, a wood and biofuel procurement company with an annual turnover of over $100 million US. Mr. Forsén is the chairman of the board at Bafco AB, Burapha Agroforestry, Silvipar AB, and a member of the board of Malva Forest AB. Mr. Forsén has been awarded Guldkvisten, the Golden Branch, given by His Majesty the King Carl XVI Gustaf to individuals who have made valuable contributions for sustainable utilization of forestry resources. Welcome, Mr. Forsén.
Thank you, Mr. Lindwall. That was a great introduction. I don't think I have so much to add. It's a real honor to be here, and I'm really looking forward to hear all the pitches today and see if we can add any comments to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for the final two experts here invited, we have the last expert on the Swedish side, Mr. Frederick Munter, who is the CEO of Mellanskog. Mr. Munter has 20 years of experience from various positions and companies in the Swedish forest industry with forest management and wood sourcing areas of expertise. So currently, Frederick is the CEO of Mellanskog, which is one of the 3 forest owners associations in Sweden with a yearly turnover of roughly $400 million US. Mellanskog represents and are owned by some 27,000 private forest owners in the middle of Sweden. Frederick is also a board member of Setra, one of Sweden's largest sawmill companies. Welcome, Mr. Munter.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to a couple of interesting hours together.
Thank you so much, and so are we. And last but certainly not least, on the Thai side, we have Mr. Sintu Satavirya, who is the head of ventures at AI Robotics Ventures Companies, or ARV, which is a part of PTT Exploration and Production. Mr. Satavirya is a finance professional with experience in investor relations, corporate finance, debt and capital markets, as well as treasury management, and currently assigned as a head of ventures to PTTP subsidiary ARV, AI and Robotics Ventures. There, he oversees startup ideation, incubation, acceleration, as well as business development, investments, finance, and legal functions. Beyond ARV, Mr. Satavirya has served in numerous roles in corporate finance and investment functions across multiple industries, such as FMCG, retail banking, mining, and oil and gas. Welcome, Mr. Satavirya.
Thank you for the introduction, Carl, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, likewise to everyone else, and I really look forward to potential collaboration opportunities between the two countries going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that concludes our introduction of the 6 distinguished panelists and commentators in the forestry and agri-tech segment here. So now it is actually time for us to start the actual business pitches. And let me introduce a little bit how this will work. So all companies, again, there are 3 invited companies from the Swedish side and 3 invited companies on the Thai side. Each company will be given 7 minutes to introduce themselves and their solution, followed by 10 minutes to answer any questions from the expert commentators that you just heard introduce themselves. While we of course welcome input from all commentators, it is of special interest to hear the thoughts from the commentators from the opposing country in terms of the marketability, business potential, and the need in the country of their solutions. As we will start with the 3 Swedish companies, I will especially ask for the attention, insights, and meaningful feedback from Mr. Juntong Saravirya and Vancha Am. So the first company here to be introduced is Katam AB. Katam Solutions uses AI, AR, and computer vision for use with drones and mobile phones in order to enable measurement of forestry data, for instance, wood volume and production yield growth. Katam is today represented by Mr. Anton Holmström, who is the head of forestry products. So, Mr. Holmström, I would like to give the stage for you for a 7-minute introduction of Katam and your solutions.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be able to participate. So my name is Anton Holmström, and I'm representing Katam, which is a Swedish forest technology company with active users across the globe, as you can see on the background map. I'm myself very proud of these users because they are coming to us without any kind of marketing. So this is word by mouth that give us users across the globe. And this is very obvious that we have a problem in the forestry sector. I can switch screen. They have problems that they see that we can solve for them. The problem with forestry sector is that it's mainly limited by traditional inventory that is very, very labor intensive, and labor also creates human errors and lots of subjective influence on data. And another problem with manual inventory is that the traditional inventory has very low traceability and transparency of the data, which leads to that the companies are not really trusting the data, creating even worse motivation for people to gather better data out in the field. Katam's solution is to offer decision support for the users when they are still in the field. The measurements is totally objective. It's totally eliminating human errors. Much higher resolution and higher precision data than manual inventory has ever been able to deliver before. And it also doesn't require any kind of CapEx because the customers are using affordable hardware. They don't need to buy expensive calipers or vertex anymore. They use the smartphone and normal consumer drones. And Katam are using the image and videos from these hardware and artificial intelligence to interpret these images into forestry and tree data. And to tell you what happens with the forestry sector when customers and companies are using Katam, I have a couple of different user stories that I want to share with you. One user case from Chile, they're using Katam, both the smartphone and the drone solution, to improve their finning operation. And they are implementing a correct finning regime on each small part of the stand. And this gives a great opportunity to increase the production and quality improvement of the operations as well. The company are also have also the possibility to pay the finning operator based on a key performance index. So when the machine operator is doing a better finning operation work, they will be paid more. And this way of implementing Katam at this company gives them an immediate improved present value of more than 15%. Another use case we have from Thailand is a company that are having problem with the labor-intensive and expensive manual traditional inventory and also low precision on the data. They are using the smartphone application we are offering, reducing the amount of time that is needed for manual inventory. They're actually reducing the inventory time by more than 70%. And in the same time, they are increasing the amount of data that are inbound from Katam by 10 times more than traditional inventory. And the results are delivered as PDF reports straight from the field into the office. And this greatly reduced the costs and improved the data quality for this company. Another interesting case is from Uganda, where a sawmill company are struggling with increasing the volume, resource volume that they need to the sawmill. They need to buy volume from private forest owners, but the private forest owners don't want to grow forest because there is a middleman taking 90% of profit between the sawmill and the forest owner. So the sawmill company are offering Katam smartphone application for the forest owners to measure the trees by themselves. And in this way, they are getting rid of the middleman, which means that the forest owner are actually increasing their profit 8 to 9 times. And the amount of volume growth will increase drastically securing the supply for the industry, but also creating more money for the forest owner and better results for the society. Another use case we have is from Sweden, where sawmill wood buyer are struggling with competition from other companies and forest associations, forest owner associations. They are competing on a market, and they need to give an attractive offer to the forest owner to be able to supply the industry with timber. But it's very difficult to give an attractive offer because it's a high risk when you don't know accurate what type of volume and assortment that there is standing in the forest that they want to buy. So this company are now being able to measure very accurate themselves out in the field at forest owner, and they can hand an attractive offer to the forest owner while they are still in field. And in this way, they are winning more contracts now. And they are also having an additional offer to the forest owner that they can give pinning quality assurance to the forest owner. And this way, they can create better goodwill than forest owner associations can do today. And the last case we have from Brazil, a huge rubber plantation need to improve their genetic growth trials research, but they haven't found an affordable way of collecting data of 1.5 million trees each year. So today they are trying to use the Katam forest application to measure 1.5 million trees each year to be able to track the growth change on tree individual to improve their research about the rubber yields research. So that was some user case of Katam, and I'm looking forward to hear your reactions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Holmström, and impeccable time management too, I must say. So I'm going to open up the floor to our distinguished commentators and anyone who has any questions or comments related to Katam solutions here.
I have a question, if I may. There seems to be quite a wide perspective of the services you will supply. Have you identified which one of these services are the ones that you think is the most viable, that you think you will move forward with the most?
Yeah, the market, the forestry business across the globe is very heterogeneous. It's a very high variation in the problems and the need of solutions that companies need. We see that the smartphone application is solving most problems, all the way from development countries, small private forest owners, up to huge plantation forestry, multinational forestry, plantation forestry companies. It's a smartphone application that really disrupts the industry.
So the using the drones would be less than, and it would be the smartphone applications that you mainly will move forward.
The drone is also interesting, but the problem the companies have today is more about the operation and the inventory. They need to reduce the costs, and in that way, the smartphone application is much more affordable. When they want to increase the yield from the industry, from the forest and the growth increase of volume, then you need to apply the drone inventory as well. And it's actually higher return of investment on the drone business, I would say, for companies. But we start with a simple step, the smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone today.
Thank you very much. And I can also add that we are doing trials with your equipment in our project in Laos as well. So we're testing it as we speak.
Thank you.
I have a question, if I may. You talk about the forest being very heterogeneous, right? And you cover a wide geography. With one smartphone application, I imagine that your AI engine, which processes these calculations, they need to be localized over a very wide array of species. How do you do that localization?
Actually not. Today, when we do trials with new customers in new forest environments, it's normally they can normally start using the smartphone application, our IA algorithms from day one. It was totally different situation 1 year ago when we needed to spend maybe 1 or 2 days of investing in development before they could start using the technology.
Okay, thank you. And many regions are different, of course, in terms of the demographics and the level of income. Do you see or do you foresee any opportunity for any region to start adopting your applications, but using an autonomous mode, such as autonomous drones or autonomous robots, to make it more efficient?
Yeah, as I said, the first efficient gain you get is start using a smartphone instead of a caliper, because you're increasing. It's about 30 times more effective using a smartphone than a caliper, and not losing any quality in the data. Of course, for companies, for example, huge plantations and research areas and so on, we are offering a product where they use an autonomous drone flying within the forestry, below the canopy, collecting the data instead. But the main, the most low-hanging fruit we offer across the globe, which everyone will gain from, is using the smartphone application.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting and eye-opening. I like the point where you said that you can use consumer drones for this. Could you elaborate more on that? Is there any specification required for the drones? Can I use, any drones that are available in, let's say, in Thailand, and it will work, or does it has to have certain kind of resolution in order for it to work? Could you, expand it more on that? And the second question is, what's the business model? Is this like a subscription, or is this going to be like a licensing fee? Is the hardware need to be owned and maintained by the customer, or your company provide that?
So to start with, we say you can't use an old smartphone. You need to have somewhat modern phone, but we want the customer to don't need to buy any equipment. We are not selling equipment. We're only offering a software as a service solution. And most companies already have access to smartphones and consumer drones. The consumer drone, we recommend our DJI Phantom 4, DJI Mavic 2. They are quite inexpensive, about 1,000 to maybe maximum $2,000 to buy. The autonomous drone we are talking about is an American drone. It costs less. It costs just $1,000 to buy. So it's totally disrupting the hardware market within the forestry. The business model is that the smartphone application is a yearly license fee of about 300 euros per year and user, and you can do unlimited measurements during that time. The drone service, the drone cloud service, analysis service is a fee based on the area, the price per hectare, depending on the service agreement we have with the customer. And it's also possible to combine the data streams from the smartphone and the drone flying above the canopy to increase the precision in the data. We have some quite good data coming out from Sweden now, where we are doing volume estimates with less than 2% error for stands. And we're collecting the data in, I would say, not to brag, but no time at all. It takes about, you can do 10 hectares per hour to get a high resolution, high precision data of the stand. And if you just want to do normal inventory for example, for NFI or for a company inventory, you can do easily 10 times more per hour.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one quick question. Is there any other potential for your solution apart from forestry, let's say agriculture?
Yes, we are looking into, for example, agriculture, crop growth, sugarcane, and so on. the technical, I would say it's no problem for us to go into this market as well, technology-wise. However, technology is never the problem. The problem we encounter in changing the market is mind change. We need to help people change the way of thinking. And in this way, we are totally focusing on forestry products today.
Thank you. Look forward to, talking some more later on.
Thank you.
I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. Is really interesting topic. I think is mono stand or pure stand is it can easy to do it. But however, in case of mixed stand, can the drone classify the different species?
It's very difficult to say in which type of stand we can't do species detection and tree detection anymore. In a jungle or Amazonas, we can't work with our technology. In plantation, it's very easy to work with our technology. I would say wherever you have a managed forest area, we are able to collect data with our software today. But if you go into native forest and jungle, it's you need to stick with a caliper or a tape or LiDAR. Okay.
Just a follow-up question on that. Are any of those technologies or kind of in your product development plans?
With the LiDAR, you mean?
Yes.
Not on the product development stage, but on the prototyping stage, yes. When LiDAR is an inexpensive customer hardware, we want to offer a software service for that as well. So in maybe 3 years' time, I would estimate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think time is essentially up, unless there is anybody who has one last question that they would like to ask Mr. Holmström. And I guess the answer is no. Thank you so much for taking the time, Mr. Holmström, to join us today to introduce Katam, a company that we at Business Sweden have been working with quite a bit before in figuring out the opportunities here in Thailand as well as in the Southeast Asian market. So very nice of you to join us here today.